So this is my experience as Walnut Beach Creamery's public relations. There's also their website if you want to go check them out. And also I took that photo. So an intro. So hey, my name is Eric Lucio. Some things about me. I'm in Jonathan Law Choir. I've been in there for 4 years, and I was the public relations for the past two. I'm also in Couples for Christ, and I've been there for over 6 years, and I've youth led for the past two, and I'm also a TOEFL performing artist, which is the Outstanding Filipinos in America. We've performed places like Madison Square Garden, White House, Citi Field, like crazy places, and I also have my own personal like photography business edited by ER, and I've done that for the past 2 years, like I guess seriously. In the fall, I'll be attending Gateway, and I'll be majoring in sports management. So my internship location and my supervisor, I went to Walnut Beach Creamery, which is like an ice cream shop by Walnut Beach. It was very convenient because it was only like 2 miles away, and my supervisor, her name is Christina Salido. She's also a teacher in Bridgeport, and she's very cool. We got to talk a lot throughout the internship, and she's just such a cool person, and she's very Gen Z like. So, with the certain job that I had to do, like we bonded very quickly, and it made things a lot easier to get certain ideas out, and it was just super fun, and I'm really glad I met her. Oh, that's her, by the way, with her husband. She got recently married, and they brought their ice cream truck at their wedding. It's really cool. So the reason why I chose WBC, it's my hometown hero. It's local, and it's been my childhood favorite ice cream place since I was like 13 years old and younger. There's actually a photo that I took of me posting my favorite ice cream flavor, which is Moo, which is a strawberry and Oreos ice cream, like 5 years ago. But yeah, I love the ice cream there, and it's just such a good vibe that I get from that place that every summer I would like go and visit and go get some ice cream. I also have connections there. My sister works there, so she would tag me along in some events, and I would get to know the boss, the managers, and all the other workers there. And she had told me that they needed somebody to fill a public relations spot for their like social media and stuff. So I thought I was good for fit for that. So their business, they've been established there since 2007. Recently, they had new renovations for their store. Before, it used to be like a small little corner with a place where you can order ice cream in like a little window, and it wasn't as efficient. Usually, people would walk in the store and grab ice cream and walk out, and it was like very hot in there, which I noticed, and there would be like long lines outside of the store, which was not really good for customers and increasing revenue. So their new renovations for their store started around February, and they finished around April, which included a lot of major changes. So here's a before picture. There's like this wall here that you can see, and it's basically like a corner in the creamery. And here's a after picture that I took. The wall used to be right here, and then now there's like a whole new section that they had rented out to another store, which gives a lot of space. They added another freezer and like AC and stuff, so it wasn't as hot as it used to be. They also have a food truck service, which I mentioned before, which goes to events almost every single day, ranging from weddings, birthday parties, markets, and like any event you can think of. They're always going out and bringing the truck out every day. So I thought that was a cool thing that I can do in that business. So my expectations going into it as a public relations, I was expecting to post on social media, do some product photography, which I've never done before. I would promote through videos using my skills, and I would especially promote flavors that they had, and I would think that I would create graphics for them on their social media since they posted almost weekly, and basically anything my supervisor told me to do. So my experience before going into this, like I said, I have my own business like Edited by ER. So I go to lots of sporting events. I've done a wedding before, music videos, and I've created documentaries and all sorts of projects on my own. I never really got um, taught through class here at law, and I mainly learned at home. So I did a lot of research at home, hours and hours upon like figuring out what I liked, and just to name a couple things, like I've made John Nider's graphic, which was my first ever graphic that I've ever made, which got like 122,000 views on Twitter. I have like some followers on TikTok, and some insights from Instagram, which gets a lot of views, and some people know my YouTube and all of these albums that I've made throughout the school year. So going into this, I've had a lot of practice with photography and getting content out. So the reality was I had to basically do anything online. If there was an email I had to send to certain businesses that needed their business to be promoted, I would have to reach out to them and basically see what they needed to be promoted. I would also have to create graphics, which my supervisor, Christina, allowed me to use her account for Canva. So I had to learn how to use Canva, which I've surprisingly never used before, but I've made this presentation on Canva, so I learned something. But yeah, I had to make graphics. I also had to make posters and banners. If there was a new item or product, they would ask me to make a banner for the store, or if there was like a sign they just needed somebody to see in the store, they would ask me to make it, and then have it printed out and laminated and just throw it on the store somewhere. I would also make creative promotional videos through TikTok and Instagram Reels, which did get viral, but I'll talk about that later. I also did product photography to promote some like pup cups, ice creams, cakes, basically anything new they wanted me to take a photo of and to update on a slideshow that would go on their TV in the new store, which they didn't have a TV before, so it was really cool seeing that slideshow up. I would also have to update their website and reach out to a person that did their website and upload photos, like new photos, because they had very outdated pictures of their store. I would also talk to, like I said, I talked to people about promoting certain events, such as the Walnut Beach Farmers Market, which is actually happening next week, got postponed, but like things like that, I'll get more into that later. And I made connections, and I edit a lot, and I just have to think of many different creative ideas throughout this whole process. So, yeah. So like I said, I had to learn Canva. This was one of the things I made. Never really used it before, but there's templates on Canva that I had to use, which helped a lot. And these are some of the employees, and like a little idea that we had was employees and their favorite flavors that we put up on a slideshow, and some of them like just posed, like I got to talk to them, and some of them I know from school, so made things a lot easier, and I just had a lot of fun with it, just getting to talk to the people who work there, and just like be like, what's your best angle, like like where can I get the best photo of you? So yeah, I had to do that. So some product photography that I did. So here I have like a monster cookie pup cups and pie and some ice cream. So going into product photography, like I said, I've never done this before. I had to find certain angles of the product because like certain angles of the product would look very unappealing and very like kind of like, oh, I don't really want that. And that also went hand in hand with editing. So I realized that I had to get um, specific details and use a certain setting on my camera to make sure that like it gets as much detail of um, the the best angle, I guess, of the product, to make sure it looked appealing. And it goes hand in hand with editing because for food, you want it to be bright, you want it to be colorful, you want it to look like your mouth, like you want your mouth to be watering when you look at it. So it needed color, it needed to be very bright, and you didn't really want it to be too contrasted because then it looks too like, I guess, grungy and dark, and like you don't like, like you want it to be bright and colorful. um, and yeah, so I did a lot of um, oh, wait, what's the word? I did a lot of like trial and error with figuring out certain angles for products, and I'd have to hold it up a certain way, or if the lighting was really bad, like I had to move to a different spot and get it correctly. And it would look, for me, it would look awkward if I only had like one pup cup, and the whole point is to show that we have, oops, sorry, is that we had lots of products to sell, and that our products were consistent, and that we had very good quality like products to sell. So yeah, we had different ice cream flavors in the back here. Just I guess the look of it, like the color, I had to edit these on Canva, and before it was very dark and very unappealing. So like I said, I had to do a lot of editing. So this is what my day looked like basically. Sometimes I'd be in the front, sitting and editing. My camera's always at my side, and I'd have a SD card attached to my computer, just always editing constantly. Yeah, I would spend hours and hours upon editing photos or looking through what photos were appealing or not. And I would also have to edit videos for trailers for the store to make sure that we have like an updated video on our website. I would also be in cafes and Starbucks, and it was nice to just like chill, get my work done, and yeah, just to switch up the environment a little bit. And I also got complimentary ice cream because I was working so hard. And yeah, like I had to walk around the block to go get some food, so that was pretty nice. And yeah, I also switched from my usual software, Adobe Premiere Pro, and I know people have been using different softwares and stuff. I've been using Premiere Pro for a long time, and then I had to switch to CapCut because the computer I was using was a Chromebook, so it wouldn't allow Premiere Pro. So I had to switch program, which actually bugged out a couple times and didn't work a couple times. So then end up having to get my whole project, bring it back home, and start over. But it was a trial and error, and I got a lot of practice using Canva. With that being said, I had a lot of fun. This was me on a truck event. It was very hot, and trucks are metal, so I mean, it was burning hot. We'll talk about that later. So this is me also at that truck event at Kingdom Life, where they were serving ice cream, and I was there for a couple of hours just getting videos of the truck outside, and just different angles of like customers receiving ice cream, any way to promote the product, and low-key getting like Walnut Beach Creamery in the background, just like thinking of any other way to like promote the business as much as we can. Meeting some people's like moms and just getting to know them. But yeah, this is also me out of school. where they did a ice cream event for the teachers. Um, and that's a tie-dye event that I was at, and I filmed like a quick TikTok or reel. And there's me as Spider-Man. I came to work my, yeah, I came as Spider-Man, and people were laughing, so that was good. So social media promotion. So basically, this was the before of the Instagram, and it was at 3,172 followers. I'm not sure what day that was that I took it, but thank God I took a before photo. And this is an after, which we gained about 100 followers. Yeah, about 100. So there's progress. But mainly we blew up on Instagram Reels and TikTok. Um, this is our TikTok, which has 3,000, 6,000, 3,000, just from a couple videos that I've put up. And with making these ideas, it would literally just be like on the spot. I would be talking to the workers, and I'd be like, hey, like, do you mind doing this TikTok, or like, what other ideas do you guys have? So it was a bunch of help from the other people that were around me, which helped me a lot. And this is our Instagram Reels, which blew up a lot. It's a couple. This one has 36,000, and it keeps going up. It's like 10,000, 15,000 views. And, you know, I think I did end up getting recognized at the store one time, saying like, hey, I saw you on that TikTok, and yeah, it was funny. I was like, yo, thanks. But yeah, like, I had a lot of fun creating these ideas. It wasn't really difficult, but when it came to the editing and like seeing like, oh, will this like do good in the business? Like, I don't know. And you know, I'd have a lot of drafts or have a lot of deleted stuff, but it was a lot of fun, and the comments, people were enjoying it a lot, and were more willing to go to a store that was more accepting and very fun and open than you know, like, not really like a store that really cares about their customers, because a lot of our the reviews there are about the employees that work there. So was trying to make it as personal as we can and making it as fun as we can, promoting it through social media. So some accomplishments and challenges. Like I said, I had to learn Canva, which I did end up learning a little bit more. My time management, I had to figure out how quickly I needed a certain edit to be done, or when it'll come out, because it goes hand in hand with this consistency, because we needed to see if a certain poster will be done on time, or a project, and you know, consistency is key, and that also goes hand in hand with the next one, which is that not every post is perfect. With me being like a perfectionist, I tend to think that like, oh, this is not good, I'm not gonna upload it at all. Then I would just end up delaying the consistency portion, and basically like we would just not like retain the same amount of views on the next post, or likes or whatever. But that would because I was just so focused on like how perfect something would be, and then I wouldn't be focused on like, oh, we could just get this out, like people don't really heartbeat that much, and then I would look at something that I created before, and I'd be like cringing at my own work. But it's fine, because practice makes perfect. Doing something over and over again, like making the slideshows and making those videos, not only did it help my time management and my consistency, but it also allowed me to learn that like just doing it over and over again, you'll get a lot better at it, and that not everything is going to be perfect, but you're definitely going to be a lot better than where you started. So it's better that you start and you keep going than staying in the same place. So how will this help my future? So one, it taught me life skills, time management, and practice. It also taught me quality and consistency is key. And like I said, like as much as as much as you want quality, like consistency will really push you into making things a lot better. Because making a decision, knowing it was a right decision or it was a bad decision, you still have learned something new, and you can still keep going in that direction. Um, and another thing is it also helped me with my entrepreneurship skills for my own business, knowing that I can consistently do something, and people are going to keep following, and also taught me how to build a platform for myself. Made a lot of connections and a lot of friends and people that I will reach out to for this business, and definitely gained a lot of confidence in my own skills, um, knowing that I'm capable of doing these things and I could just keep it up and not have to worry about if something was perfect or not. So another thing, just shout out the Walnut Beach Creamery page if you want to follow it. We have Instagram, Facebook. Go to our website, go to the store, get some ice cream. Yeah, it's sick. So that's it. Any questions? Yes, Miss Sylvia.
So I just want to say congratulations on the job well done. I know that you obviously went in with a set of skills, but clearly this was of benefit because you got to practice more, right? And really like stretch your legs. And obviously you've made some really nice connections. So really more just a comment of like really nice job, and it's making me want to go onto my phone and follow. So that's a good thing.
Good. Kelly.
Were you the sole contributor to the social medias, or did you have any help from like other employees?
Like what do you mean? Like, am I?
Other people like logged into the accounts that would help out, or was it like just you?
So like Christina, my supervisor, she would go on it a couple times, and just we would basically, me, her, and actually one of the workers, Fiona, we had a group chat of just basically the social media and the posts to see like what are some good ideas, and we would have like drafts and just share in that group chat what like trending ideas other people had, or anything that we can like tie into like the creamery, since it's a very specific like ice cream spot, so there's not much you can like really add on to like a TikTok or a reel. But we tried our best to brainstorm together, and yeah, the ideas went pretty well.
How do you think your internship will impact the success of the creamery?
So basically, they liked the ideas that I brought, showing that we can go into like a more social media promotion direction through TikToks, Reels, basically connecting with more and more people, like the younger audience, to go into the creamery will help a lot, and especially getting the chance to update their website and anything like, will help a lot. Yeah.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream flavor, Purple Rain, which is a ube base.
When's it coming back? For real?
I think in the summertime. I'm not sure.
It's almost like you mention
I'm
that
not sure.
every time.
I
Yes.
have a few questions for you.
Mhm.
First, now that your internship's done, are you done doing social media for them? Or did you
No,
have,
I
like,
think
a
I was.
post
I
for
was.
a gallon of ice cream?
I'm pretty sure I was like offered a job. Yeah, after to help with them.
Excellent.
Yeah.
For money or for ice cream?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For ice cream.
Do you have a preferred like social media site, or do you find that like some content works better on Twitter, some content works better on TikTok, some content, do you differentiate between them?
Okay, so I think that it depends on like the certain content you want to get out. If you're reaching for more younger audience, TikTok and Instagram, a lot of people are there for like short videos, or just like, especially Instagram, like a quick graphic that you just need to get up. Facebook for more of the older audience. They're still very active. I just offended a lot of people.
I know lots of people.
But they're still very active, so a lot of people will check that out. And Twitter, if you need like a quick like message to just get across. But yeah, for me, I guess for my generation, I just shoot towards Instagram more often. Yeah.
And my last is more maybe of a comment, but the slide you have with all that product photography,
Mhm.
and you said like nobody's ever really taught you that, you just kind of self.
Yeah. So like I would do a lot of research,
Mm-hmm.
and that would not just be like product photography research, but it would just be more of like what angles is best fitting for, um, not just like people, but like products. And like I kind of learn, and when you learn about photography, it's more of like your preference. So for my preference, I prefer um, it to be very colorful and to not look very black and white, because when you turn up the contrast on certain photos, um, it just brings out the highlights way too much, and then it will just darken the photo and just looks like you just don't want to eat that. So I actually had to lower the clarity on some of them and not add too much contrast and brighten the whole photo up a bunch. And yeah, like I can pick out what colors I want to pop out more. If the ice cream was like purple, like I'd want more purple. But yeah.
I only ask because your instincts are really good. We had somebody present earlier today, and she did her internship with a photographer in Milford. It's AMG Productions, and they did product like photography, and she had examples of like their print stuff, and yours is on par with that.
Really?
Easily.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
like if I showed you that slide and then your slide, you'd be like, oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so really well done. You clearly have like a
Yeah.
some kind of innate ability for it. It is
I just do a lot of research.
so simple.
Yeah.
Those two slides, that's oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Impressive, Eric. Thanks, Job.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, my name is Callie, and I did my internship at Trumbull High with their choir. So my little intro, I'm Callie. I'm the choir manager. I have been the choir manager for 2 years. I've been on the board for 3 years. I've been in choir for 4 years. I'm a soccer player. I play defense on the varsity girls soccer team. I'm a kid in band, not a band kid. There is a difference. I joined this semester because I wanted to gain more experience with music and build more knowledge. And I'm an indoor track thrower. I throw shot put. And these are some pictures. This was at our banquet. That's me playing soccer. Me and Jasper before a band concert. And that's me kissing our best overall choir trophy. So where did I intern and who was my site supervisor? So I interned at Trumbull High. That's a picture I took. I took it a few days ago, so it's kind of like smoggy, but that's the school for my parking spot. And my supervisor was Mr. Chris Wasco. This is him. If you're watching, I found this on Facebook. Sorry, Mr. Wasco. And then that is a picture I snuck of him. One of my rules while I was there was I wasn't really allowed to take pictures of like students for like privacy reasons. So like any pictures I did get, I had to get from like super far away, or like I had to sneak them. So I snuck that photo. Mr. Wasco did his undergrad at UConn and got a degree in music education. I'm not sure where he got his master's, but right now he's enrolled in a doctoral program at Columbia. Why Trumbull High? Expectations. So I chose Trumbull High School because of prior experience I had performing there. I used to dance in Trumbull, and some of our benefit concerts would be at Trumbull High. And I remember going there and just being like, wow, this is a high school, and there's 4 dressing rooms backstage with like huge vanities, and like they had really nice stages and equipment. I'm like, well, if they have all this money to put into their programs and their equipment, they must have a good program. So when I started doing research, I wanted to have Trumbull High as a high on my priority list. So yeah, I did research on choir programs that were nearby, and Trumbull's impressed me the most. I also wanted to see what other high school choirs were like. I know too much about our choir, so going into a career with music ed, I wanted to see what other teachers were like and what other programs were like and how they were able to be successful. An expectation I had was I would be doing a lot of observing as opposed to teaching. I also expected that the rehearsals would be intense because I started 2 weeks before their spring concert. So a lot of what I did was observing and not teaching, just as like they're 2 weeks before their concert, they have to get everything like locked in, ready to go because the spring concert is the culminating event of their program in the year. So a lot of what I did was just watching what Mr. Wasco would do to get them prepared and how he would interact with students and really get them like in the right mindset to perform, because the day I started was 15 days before their concert. So I included what a typical day looked like. That's the bell schedule. I took that on my first day, and I'm really grateful I did, because there'd be so many times where I'm like, okay, if I leave at this time, I can make it here by this time, and I can get this done, and it's just a lot. This was like my saving grace. So I try to get up at 5:45 every day. Some days it would be like 6:15. And I tried to get to Trumbull by 7 on my first day. The secretary for the principal was like, so school starts at 7:27. You want to get here before 7:10 to beat the traffic. On my first day, the traffic was insane. I thought the traffic here was bad. They have like 3 cop cars and crossing guards and a whole bunch of people going this way and that way. And I'm like, oh my God, there's only one entrance and exit for the whole school. So it's very intense in the morning. So I really want to get there early. My first 2 periods were planning periods. So I used that time to eat breakfast, and I would do tasks given to me by Mr. Wasco. So the first class started at 7:27, and I wouldn't have a class till 9:13. So those whole 2 hours-ish, I would eat breakfast, I would talk to Mr. Wasco about what was on the agenda for the day, I would do whatever like menial tasks he had for me that like he didn't necessarily have the time to get around to. I remember one of the tasks he gave me was he had a digital music class. So he had me listen to some projects and be like, if you were to teach this class and this is the rubric that you were given, what would you give the student based on what they produced for you? So like that's one of the things I would do before we actually had classes. So 3rd period was concert choir. That started at 9:13. Each class period was roughly 47 minutes. 4th period was freshman choir. 5th period was chamber choir, which is equivalent to our advanced vocal ensemble here at Jonathan Law. 6th period was my lunch period, which was so weird to me that we had 47 minutes to eat lunch. I would like finish within the first 10 minutes. I'd be like, what do I do with the rest of my time? Like, I don't know what to do. 7th period was AP Music Theory. I've never taken music theory before, which is something that's very important going into music ed. So this was right before their exam, and after their exam, they had like a big culminating project. So when they were learning, I was learning as well. So this was very beneficial for me. And then 8th period was a digital music class, but I would only go to that class for about 10 minutes-ish, or I would leave after 7th period just so I could beat the traffic getting out, because you could waste like 10 miles in gas just sitting in that parking lot. So I would try to leave early. Another thing that's unique about the Trumbull choirs is that each choir is an individual ensemble. So the concert choir in their concert would perform by themselves. The freshman choir performed by themselves, and the chamber choir performed by themselves, and then they had like maybe 3 pieces that they did together, which is very different from our choir, where our AVE performs in the beginning, and then the concert choir and the freshman choir both join us on stage, and then we finish out the rest of our set like that. So it was very interesting to see how like each ensemble held their own and performed as their own group. Responsibilities. A lot of my responsibilities correlated to concert prep, again, because it was 2 weeks out from their concert. Like sound checks, ticket sales, and giving feedback. So this is me on my first day. This right here is a visitor's pass. Every day I had to sign in with the security guard, Mrs. Vargas, love her. She had these like awesome bangs. I thought she was so cool. And I would sign in on this little paper. I remember one day there was a different security guard. He's like, you can just go right to your house. And I'm like, I'm not a student here. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm interning here. He's like, you're not on the list. Let me call someone really quick. So then I had to get like cleared by him. And he was like, you know what, I'll get you a coffee, because he saw the coffee that I had. So this is me on my first day. This is in one of their closets. These filing cabinets are their choral library. So I was doing filing where I had to like put all these different pieces into folders and then put them in their filing cabinet, and it was just like there's over like 1,500 pieces in this library, so I had to like go through all these different filing cabinets, like hoping I'd find the right number, and I got pretty good at it. By the end, I'd be like, okay, I think I know where 750 is. I'm gonna try to find that. So I did sound checks as well. This picture right here was taken from the back of their auditorium. Those like wooden shells, that's what they use for like better like sound projection for the audience. Ours are white, and so like seeing how they have like the ceiling and the whole like sides covered, I'm like, wow, they got money. So I would do sound checks, just making sure that like if I'm sitting all the way at the back of the house, they paid the same amount of money as the people who are sitting in the front of the house. So I wanted to make sure, Mr. Waska wanted to make sure that they had just as good sound quality as the people who are sitting in the front of the house. So he would like run a song. He'd be like, Callie, how's the sound? I'd be like, it's good. Or I'd be like, the altos need to be louder, or something like that. I also did ticket sales, where he had this whole, there's a lot of systems that they have in Trumbull Choir, and he had to teach me how to like mark off, okay, this person wrote in this Google form that they want 3 tickets and they're going to pick it up before the concert, so you have to write down 3 tally marks if they paid, and you have to give it to them. You have to make sure you get it to them, and like if you didn't write down the tally marks, we're going to have a big problem. So I was like, there's like X's on this spreadsheet, and I'm like, okay, so I really need to get this down because this is money. And I would also give feedback. On my first day, he had me act as an audience member for all the ensembles. So they performed their like entire concert set for me, and he introduced me. He's like, Callie is a 3-time All-State participant, so she knows what she's talking about. I've really taken her feedback. So I would give them feedback. Like, I really love how there's one piece that's like super, super fast. And I was like, you guys have awesome vocal stamina, really good breath support. I want to hear more diction, because along with being really fast, it was in another language. So a lot of it could just sound like mush to an audience member. So even though it's in another language, you want to be able to differentiate what the different words are. So I was like, you guys need to have more diction. Just make sure you're getting the consonants and the vowels, and making sure that like I can understand what you're saying. So yeah, I would just do a lot of that. Some challenges. An unexpected challenge that I faced was transportation, because my car was in the shop for the majority of May. So the day of so May 6th, I started on May 10th. May 6th, my car broke down. So I had to take it to the shop like 2 days later. So and that was a really big challenge. Just trying to get there every day by 7. Some days I would stay with my grandma and she would drive me, or I would take her car, or like I would take my mom's car. But it's like every day, like after I would get home, I'd be like, okay, how am I getting there tomorrow? Like, how am I gonna get there? This is my car. Her name is Kate. I named her after Kate Blanchett. Another challenge I had was being hands-off rather than hands-on. With law choir, being the manager, a lot of what I do is very hands-on, like taking attendance, helping out with rehearsals, like making sure everything is running smoothly, and I'm very involved with everything. Being at Trumbull High, I was very not involved with everything, and I just had to like sit back and observe and be like, okay, this is how Mr. Wasco does things. I need to observe, like, his choir is obviously very successful. How does he do that? How does he make them successful? How do they sound good? So it's just a lot of me like sitting back and observing, like, what are they doing to be successful? That picture is from our dress rehearsal. Another challenge I faced was handling being away from law choir. They're my favorite people ever. So not being able to see them every day. This semester I took 5 music classes, English and math. So I was pretty much in the choir room all day and seeing everyone every day. So it was a really big challenge, like being away from them, be like, oh, because we were also 2 weeks out from our concert. Our concerts, Trumbull and Law, were on the same day. So it was a challenge being like, okay, how's everything going at Law? How is all like the concert prep? How is like everything sounding? We have some new songs. How are they sounding? Like, how's everything going? And it's just like taking a step back and be like, I can't be there if I'm at this internship. I have to trust that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I was able to perform in our concert. The day before was Trumbull's dress rehearsal, so I was able to go to that, and they basically did like a run through of the whole concert, so that was really cool. But I wasn't able to go to their concert, but I did see like recordings of it, so that was cool. Accomplishments. An accomplishment I had was I was able to gain the respect of the students really fast. I think Mr. Wasco introducing me as a 3-time All-State participant definitely helped, because the kids in the school were my age, so like I didn't have any authority over them. They didn't see me as an adult or anything. I'm just one of them. So They did respect me though, which was really nice. There was this one freshman boy who like every day he would give me a fist bump, and like I never learned his name, but there's like 75 of them. I wasn't gonna learn everyone's name in 2 weeks, but he gave me a fist bump every day. And then there was this other kid who one day he was like, "You have a really nice voice." And then another day he was like, "Thank you so much for the feedback." He's like, "Callie, have a great day." Like every time he saw me, he would greet me and just like made me really happy. I was like, "You don't even know me, and you're like being so nice to me." So yeah, I was able to like talk to them like on a normal level. Like it wasn't weird that I was there to them, which was really, it helped me be comfortable, and I'm sure it helped them be comfortable as well. A personal accomplishment I had was putting together a mock concert program and being able to have in-depth conversations with Mr. Wasco about the pieces. So these are some of the pieces that I chose when I was doing filing on that first day. He was like, pick some pieces that really catch your eye and put together like a mock concert program where we're going to talk about why you chose them for your imaginary choir to perform and what different things they would do. So this one is called Warrior. It's a treble choir piece, which means only typical female voices would sing it, sopranos and altos. And I just really like this one. I like the story behind it. It had triplets in it, which I'm a really big fan of triplets, so I was like, I need to pick this piece. And I heard recordings of it and it just had this really eerie tone. I was like, ooh, this would be really cool to do. And we spent like an hour just talking about like how I would teach it. Like not even like why I like the piece. It's like, okay, you chose this piece, how are you gonna teach it? How are you gonna make sure that students are able to be successful? And like one of the things I did was I wrote a mock lesson plan of like a week's worth of rehearsal just for this piece, and I wrote it out and I'm like, theoretically I could get through this in like 4 days. He's like, okay, so how are you gonna prolong this piece to make it the best that it can be? So that was like really difficult for me to be like, okay, if we can just get it done in 4 days, how can I make it go on to sound like really good in like a week, 2 weeks, something like that. This piece is Wanting Memories by Esai Barnwell. This piece really did it for me. I listened to it and I was like, ooh, this is really cool. Like I like the groove of it, I like the pocket, I like the dynamics, like everything about it. We spent an hour and a half talking about one part of the song. And it was just like, okay, if I'm a choir director, I'm really gonna have to do that. I'm just gonna have to sit down and be like, okay, like, why do I like this piece? And then a lot of it was, there's one, the bass line is the same thing throughout the entire piece. It's like 3-4 minutes of just singing the same thing over and over again. So he was like, how are you gonna make sure that the basses don't lose interest? How are you gonna make sure that they're gonna wanna continue to do it? And it kind of just seemed like every answer I was giving was the wrong answer. So I just had to keep on being like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. He's like, you could do that, but what else could you do? I'm like, I don't know, I don't know. And then this is another piece I chose. It's a tenor bass piece. I didn't know it was a tenor bass piece. I just recognized the cover and I'm like, oh, we're doing a song from that same series in our own choir. I'm gonna pick it out and I'm gonna see what it's like. And then I listened to it and it's really interesting. It's really bouncy and like there's a lot of like, it's not a lot of words in it. It's just a lot of like sounds, like neutral syllables. So I was like, how would I teach that? how would I do that? So yeah, being able to sit down with Mr. Wasco and have like conversations about how I would teach rather than why I just like pieces was really eye-opening, because it was like, I don't really know, like I know how my choir would do this, but when I'm a teacher, I'm gonna have a whole set of new students who have different levels of music knowledge. How am I gonna make sure that I get them all on the same page and I make sure that we're successful in this performance? So doing that was really cool. Some intellectual growth and development and future plans. An unexpected gain I had from this experience was getting better and not comparing myself to others. So when I listen to the chamber choir, I'm in the advanced vocal ensemble here, and I have been for 3 years. So listening to their chamber choir, they just blew me away. And I was like, oh my God, this cannot be a high school choir. Like they just sound so professional and they're so good. So something I really had to do was like sit back and be like, our accomplishments at law are just as good as Trumbull High's, and I can't compare our accomplishments to their accomplishments because we are two completely separate choirs, separate directors, separate teaching styles, separate everything. So like I can't just be like, they sound good, we need to sound like that, because our own growth is just as important as Trumbull High's growth. So I had to really just like separate and be like, we are two different groups, and I had to like get better at not comparing. I also gained a better sense of urgency when getting up in the morning. Back to that traffic. I really, sometimes I wouldn't make it before the traffic hit, but I would really try my best because it's just so bad. It's so bad. I also learned about new techniques that contribute to making a choir sound good. The way Mr. Wasco teaches is very different than how my own director teaches. So I had to like sit back and really like pick out like what does he do here that makes them sound good? What does he do here that makes them sound good? Because my director and Mr. Wasco focus on different things. So I had to be like, this works for him. Why does this work for him? Why does this help this choir sound good? And what can I bring back to law choir to help us sound good? I also learned what a descant is. I didn't know what that was before. I know what that is now. This internship will definitely help me in the future. In the fall, I'm going to Western Connecticut State University and will be majoring in music education. So getting my feet wet with teaching and observing with a different director and just getting out of law and seeing what other choirs are like definitely helped me because I don't want to just like pigeonhole myself and just see what we do here. My end goal is to become a choir director, and this experience will definitely help with that. Again, just seeing what other directors do to make a choir successful was definitely very beneficial to me. Obviously, I'm going to take things away from law choir. I really don't have a choice to. I've been here for 4 years, but being at Trumbull and seeing what they do was super, super helpful, and I really appreciated the opportunity to go there. So I included this picture. This is their choir room. It's huge. It's like really, really big, and the acoustics in there are really good. This is soundproofing so that doesn't get out into the hallways. But this room has no cell service. So like when I was there, a few rules I had to follow was like I wasn't allowed to go anywhere that wasn't the choir room, the bathroom, or the separate classroom that Mr. Wasco taught in. I remember one day he was like, if you didn't bring a lunch, you can go to the commons and go get food. I'm like, I actually can't. I'm not allowed to go there. So being in the bathroom, choir room, and then that separate hallway, there was no cell service. So I really just had to like, it really forced me to focus while I was there, to be honest, because there was nothing else I could do. I had to just watch and observe. At the end, that's my breakfast. Like I mentioned before, eating breakfast when I got there. This is Mr. Wasco's piano. If you look here, there's a lock on it because their budget doesn't really allocate for tuning pianos. So this piano had just been tuned like recently, so he locks it so that other students can't just go in and mess with the keys and like press on them as hard as he wants because this is the main piano that he uses. So he wants to keep it in as good condition as he can because he has to use money in the budget for other things. So this is just a safety precaution he uses. There are 2 other pianos in this room. And they also have practice rooms where they have pianos, and there's like a lot of resources for the kids there, which I think is awesome. But this is his piano, and you cannot touch it. And yeah. So any questions, Jasper?
Did Trumbull High Choir have the same sense of community our choir does?
That's a difficult question. I think that in some aspects they do. I think their chamber choir is very close. Like our AVE is very close. Like on the last day for the seniors, like each senior was assigned an underclassman unbeknownst to them, and they got like senior gifts. And they just are very supportive of each other in the chamber. But I think with the concert choir and the freshman choir being non-audition groups, a lot of them were just trying to get their one arts credit and be in and out. So I think with those classes it's a little bit more difficult. But the chamber choir was an audition group, so they want to be there. They want to be making the effort. So I think that group sense of hard work pulled them together a lot more. So I'd say yes and no. Eric?
What qualities have you taken from comparing Trumbull and law, like choir and how they run things? Can you take to like, like Western, for example?
I'd say a big thing that they do at Trumbull is like they really stress the importance of memorization, which I think is really interesting. Like they have been like off book while I was there. They were off book like the beginning of May. So I think that quality is really interesting, like seeing like if I want to take that to like a future job, being like, do I want to stress the importance of memorization with my choirs, or do I want to let them like keep their music with them? Because at law we're allowed to have our music for some pieces, which definitely helps, especially with like text and like learning lyrics and like being on stage, especially with one of our pieces that we did that was in Portuguese. Like I know that when we tried to run it without the music, it was a struggle. We were riding the struggle bus because a lot of us just couldn't remember the words in Portuguese. So I'm like, having the music was definitely very helpful, not necessarily for the notes, but just for the text alone. But I think having the music is beneficial because if you're running a piece and he says go to measure 88 and you don't have music in front of you, you're not going to memorize a 300 measure piece and just be like, oh, I know exactly what measure 88 is. So I think just different ways of teaching I can take back from each ensemble and put into like a future ensemble that I run. Jasper?
How do you think the collective skills of being choir manager in this internship will help you in the future?
I think a lot of what I did as choir manager, like just being able to like run things, not like run everything obviously, but like taking attendance, getting to learn people's names very quickly, and like being like the glue. I like to call myself the glue. Making sure like things run smoothly and like everyone has exactly what they need. If someone needs like an extra copy of music, here, have mine. I can just go make a copy really quick. But like with the internship, I was just able to sit back. They don't have a board or any like leadership or anything like that, and it's just really interesting how Mr. Wasco just takes all that responsibility onto himself and like not doesn't delegate it to too many people. So I think with the internship and the being choir manager, I can see like how different leadership goes into different ensembles. Eric.
After speaking with like Mr. Wasco, you said for like hours on end about certain pieces. Is there like a certain style that I guess you sort of developed and like realized like, oh, I like this more than like he does, or
Like in music?
yeah.
I think that's a little difficult to answer because this year for their spring concert they had a theme, which was, we don't do themes here. I mean, like our winter concert accidentally had a theme of like stars, but like we didn't like set out to have a theme. But their theme was like on the screen. So like all of their pieces that they did came from video games, TV shows, movies. So like a lot of them, I knew a lot of the songs just from like pop culture, I guess, and like other like choir repertoire that I just know. So I don't know if I would necessarily do like something like that with like a lot of recognizable music, because that can like easily be messed up for an audience member being like, I like the song the way that it was, why would they perform it like this? I like, to be honest, a lot of pieces that people don't know because it's more forgiving for audience members. So I think just like taking that away from it, like what I want to do recognizable pieces as opposed to unrecognizable pieces.
I'm just gonna make like a quick comment. I'm just like, again, super impressed because I know at the beginning when you were looking for a site, you were like really like struggling because you're like, I want to do that with this location, but I wasn't getting a response, and like you stuck with it. So I just want to say like that's very commendable that you stuck it out, you figured it out, and just that you like continued to persevere through like, you know, car challenges and scheduling challenges and trying to be in like multiple places at once, and it seems like you got a lot out of this. So I'm just really proud.
Thank you.
Very, very good job.
I think on the same token, we had other students go to high schools, and I think that you did such a commendable job at like integrating yourself in there and becoming valuable to them. You know, I think it's hard when it's the same age group kind of.
Yeah.
It's that weird dynamic of walking the first day, and you told a story about how they were like, oh, just go. And you're like, oh, actually, don't go here. Did you notice a difference with like the level of classes? So one of the classes you taught was freshmen. So could you see like the difference just in like those couple years? Did they treat you any differently than like the chamber ensemble did? Or?
Definitely. I think with the freshman choir, I think it also plays into them just being completely separate ensembles, like almost to an extent of them being like on separate islands.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do combine for like a few pieces, but I think with the freshman ensemble, a big thing with them is like behavioral issues and like classroom management, which like obviously like here at law there's tons of freshman classes who have the same issues, but I think it's really interesting how a lot of the kids you could definitely tell were just there for their arts credit and they were just there to like get it out of the way. So I think like their class, like they wouldn't even acknowledge me sometimes. Like I had that one freshman boy who would like give me the fist bump, and like some girls would like glance at me, but like they didn't really acknowledge that I was there. Like they didn't really care that I was there. I would like give them some feedback sometimes, and they would just kind of like take it, use it, like move on. But with the chamber choir, I think they recognize that like I'm a senior, been all-state, I'm choir manager, like I know what I'm talking about. So they would really like internalize my feedback, and they would take it and like really use it to get better. So I thought that was really cool just to like see the dynamic between like an audition group who wants to be there and a group that's just getting their credits.
Nice. Clearly you did like a ton of self-reflection and really well done. Fascinating. So I'm glad you had a really good experience.
Thank you. Bachi?
Great.
How's your car running?
Car's doing good.
I will say that drive to Trumbull had to be like,
Yeah.
you hit it at the wrong time. It's crazy.
Yeah, I also
There's two
don't
concerts.
drive on the highway yet, so
Yeah, keep going on the highway.
Did you do the merit at all, or just
nope,
back roads?
all back roads. I would go through,
Yeah.
go over the Devon Bridge, go up Nichols through Stratford, and just keep on going straight through. I memorized the route. I know how to get there now through the back roads. But it was definitely a struggle at first, being like, okay, my GPS says I'm gonna get here at 7:10. it's 6:50. I'm all the way in Milford. Like, how is this gonna work?
Well, really, really good job, Kelly.
Thank you.
So I did a capstone instead of an internship, and it was basically just solely focused around me learning a new coding language, which is called Python. So who am I? I'm committed to Fordham University, Lincoln Center, which is in Manhattan. I'm majoring in global finance and business economics, and I'm planning to double minor in psychology and computer science. So I interned under a website called JLHS. Basically, it's just a website that's committed to teaching students for free any like coding language that you want. So not just Python's available on there. And I thought it was really cool that I'll talk about it later, but I thought it was really cool that they're just like really committed to like teaching people like outside of like if they can't afford to learn about it, and like they're really big on like anybody can learn it. So I thought that was pretty admirable of them. Why did I choose JLHS? So basically when I first went through it and I was like looking through my options, like where I could learn the coding language, if you look on their website, like it's really, really organized. So they have all their units, all their lessons, and like every single lesson has videos and exercises and like examples, and they're really committed to like making sure you understand everything like thoroughly. I think I'd really compare this to like Khan Academy. That's like a really good comparison. If anything, I think it's better, especially for like coding, of course, but they're really committed to just like making sure you understand everything. So that was a big factor. I'm also already familiar with the website because I had to use it to catch up to like everybody else to take computer science principles, since there's a prereq. And because I couldn't take it due to my schedule, I had to do some summer stuff with JLHS to get me to the same level as everyone else. And I'd say like when I started the class, I felt really, really confident because of JLHS. So I said like if they can do it once, they can do it again. And Ms. Corvo also recommended this to me because she already had a class with 2 other people who were doing Python for their like semester long class. So she said like it'd be really easy. And it's free compared to other ones which weren't free. So their mission statement is basically to empower all students to meaningfully impact the future. We believe that in the 21st century, coding is a foundational skill, just like reading and writing. That's why we say read, write, code. And after I like read that, I did some research. Like I just like you can tell that even as like a website, they really care about like everybody having like that same like equal education. So prior to the capstone, I expected to just basically just like get further knowledge on computer science and like see whether I wanted like programming specifically involved in my future career. Because even though I'm minoring in computer science, there are other aspects aside from programming. So I just wanted to see if that specifically would want to be like part of my career. The course doesn't lead you to like being fluent in the language. It just gives you like fundamentals, and even that was like 9 or 10 units. But I'm glad that like in the end I was able to get like a pretty good understanding of the fundamentals. So when I do this further, like in college, I'll be able to like, I'll have that like advantage to able to like catch up to everybody. Also, JLHS is like, because they're like really organized, they had like the syllabus where they'll tell you like how long like every unit is supposed to take and how long each lesson's supposed to take and stuff. So I went in under the impression like, oh, this is not going to take me that long. Like, if anything, it'll take me a less amount of time. That was not true. It took much longer. But I definitely underestimated the difficulty of the course. But because they're like so committed to making sure you understand it, the extra time that I took was definitely really beneficial for me like to understand it in general. And because they're so organized, I expected it to be like really easy to walk through and understand and like what to do next. Like they were really good on that stuff. So because I did a capstone and I wasn't like working under somebody, my responsibilities were pretty much up to me. And basically all I had to do was set my own schedule each week just to make sure like I got all my hours for the 4 weeks and like make sure I learned all the needed content for the app. And I needed to make sure that my app actually showcased all the stuff that I learned because that was like my final product for the capstone. So as I was like planning it out, like every like Sunday, I would just plan out like, okay, this is what I want to get to, like this lesson I want to get to by the end of the week. I want to make sure I get this many hours. I want to make sure I've learned this and I can like put it in my app successfully. Accomplishments. So I think I'm actually really proud that I was able to make an application from scratch, just using like the fundamentals of a new programming language. I think it really did showcase all the skills that I had learned, and something that really came to light is that there's always like a lot of code to just show something so simple. Like when people see like even the simplest of apps, they don't realize like how much is behind it and how much is really working behind it. So that's something I definitely learned, and like when I made this application, I was really proud of it, even though like you'll see that it's a really basic app, but it took a lot of effort to make, and I'm actually really happy that I was able to get through most of the curriculum in like 3.5 weeks to a month. Getting used to coding syntax was one of my biggest challenges. So coding syntax is basically like, if you see like code, usually like some of the code will have to be like indented in under like one function or like one loop or something. And when I was coding, because I was just trying to get it all out before I'd like forget the next step, I would just forget to do that type of stuff, or like add a colon at the end and then my code wouldn't run, and then I'd be like, what's going on for like 25 minutes? So that was definitely a big factor as to why like it took me a really long time to get through a few lessons. So I had to get used to that because it's really different to block code, which is like the first language I ever learned in computer science principles. And not being able to get to the end of curriculum, I really pushed. Like that last week, I was like, I have to finish this. Like I have to get this done, but I couldn't. Because it's free and because it's still open like through Ms. Corvo, I'll be able to finish it after this is over, which I'm really happy about. But, you know, I had to come to terms with the fact that I was not going to finish this whole entire course by the end of a month. The time management skills, or like following through with my own schedule, I think it was really interesting to like, when I was at school before this capstone started, like 7 a.m. to like 7:30 p.m. Like my schedule would be booked out like by all stuff that was like from school. And now it's like, it's booked up, but like in a different way, like with my own schedule and like my own like time management skills. So I had to make sure like I really like was the only one accountable for all of this, so I had to make sure I still got it all done, because like if I didn't show up to rehearsal, there would be people mad at me. But if I didn't end up getting to like a certain unit at the end of the week, the only person that's really losing out is me. So I really had to make sure that I had like kept up with all the work to make sure I could get as far as possible. and code efficiency, which basically just means like being able to get one thing done in as few lines of code as possible. So instead of taking like 20 lines of code to do something, it could take 5, but it would just take me a very long time to realize that. So it definitely took me a bit, I think by the end I was able to, but it took me a bit to like think in that mindset, like what is the most efficient way to do this or like get this done. So now I'm going to show you my code for the app that I made. So as I was saying, when you like all of these that are indented and like the parentheses and the colons and stuff, sometimes I would forget one and then I would just be like, where am I going wrong? So you really have to like read through it like multiple times and like check for bugs and all that stuff, or like if you had a typo or something, it would literally just ruin the code. So it's definitely sensitive for a programming language. That's definitely something I learned, but all of this actually created rock, paper, scissors. A very simple app that I'm going to show you guys, but a lot of this covered the first like 6 or 7 units of the fundamentals, so I'm really happy that I was able to put all of that towards this. So this is going to be, I'm going to keep this fast. The first line is just import random, which just means that like the random module that we're using to like get rock or paper or scissors, which we'll use later to generate the computer's choice. And then the reason why you're not going to see like some lines accounted for is just because of the spaces. So that doesn't affect like how the code runs, just like my own organization and like all of that. So it doesn't look jumbled up. So just defining rock, paper, scissors. So when you see like define, that usually just means like a function is called. And I just called it rock, paper, scissors, you know, to keep it simple. And this function basically just encapsulates like the logic of the game. Lines 4 and 5, we just print welcome to rock, paper, scissors for the user to see, and then we print that we should play. So these 2 lines print the welcome messages to the console, and it just greets the user and indicates the start of the game to them. The next line, so basically at this point we have to show the options, so now we have to print like with all this stuff, rock, paper, and scissors, and this basically just initializes a list of 3 options. Rock, paper, and scissors, and this is just like valid choices for the player or the computer. And you'll see like later in the code that I'll explain, if they don't choose one of those things, they're going to say it's invalid and you have to choose one of those things, but you have to code that they'll do that or else the game will just break. So while true, so this is simple. While just basically shows that it's a while loop, which means an infinite loop. So basically the game will just keep going in a round until the player's like, I don't want to play again. So then it has to be explicitly broken and like stated by the user. Line 10, so this is just like the player choice, what they decide to choose, rock, paper, or scissors. And the lower like method you see under it is just saying like, if you accidentally type rock, paper, or scissors with like an uppercase somewhere, the computer can still read that like you're trying to say rock or paper or scissors. And yeah, so you have to like add that sort of function in there so they know like that's what you're talking about, which is something I didn't know until the last few days of coding my app. So that was also a big challenge of mine because I was like, why isn't this working? The next few lines is basically just saying, like I said before, if they don't choose one of the options, I'm just gonna have to print like invalid input, please choose one of the options, and then continue. Then we go on for the computer's choice. So in the app, you'll see that like the computer choice is automatic. Like they'll just choose something because it's a computer, and then they'll just print like what the computer chooses, what their choice. And if you keep going, it says like all of the possibilities now. So if the player choice equals the computer choice, you have to print that it's a tie. Else if, so you'll see else if right here. That basically just means if that doesn't happen, then the player choice equaling rock and the computer choice equaling scissors, or like any of those possibilities basically where the player would win, you just have to print that congratulations, you win, any of those 3 options. And if I don't put this, which I also forgot at first, if I don't put this, none of this works. It's just meaningless code. So it's actually like really crazy for me to think that like you can do all of this code, forget 4 letters and half a parentheses, and it doesn't work. So it was definitely a struggle to like read through everything and like make sure I'm not making any stupid mistakes. And if none of those things happen, basically the computer wins. So basically like all of these corresponding messages are printed. And then at the very end, you just say play again, and you say yes or no. Again, had to put the lower method there because if they typed yes or no with an uppercase, it wouldn't work. So I had to put that in there again. But because I had already stated it before, it was much easier this time. And then finally, if they want to play again and they say yes, it'll bring you back because of that while loop. So it'll just keep going until they say no, and then it breaks, and then you're done. So my final product, I'm gonna have to exit, I think, to show you guys. Yeah. So, yeah. All of the code that I just showed you basically shows you this. So, I don't know if I can tap into it on the slideshow because there's no link.
Try the bottom corner.
Oh my god, yeah. Okay, we're gonna go back real quick.
It'll take a second to load
Yeah. So in the game, you're just gonna see like how like all of the options played out, and like if you were to choose one option versus if you were to choose the other, if you were to tie. Yeah, there it is. So first I chose rock, and then I said, then the computer also chose rock, so then that's how it shows that it's a tie. And most of it, I just kept it like really simple with the printing because a lot of Python isn't really about like user interface, which means like what it looks like to the user. So learning Python, like aside from the fundamentals, that's like its own like other part of the course. So if you really want to be like fluent in it, then that's like a whole different thing. But yeah, I was mainly focused on like getting it all to work before making it look good. So since I was just learning like the basics of it still. So my skill development, the things I'm naming here are just like things from different units that I had learned, and like probably the most important things that I had learned to make the app work. The first 2 units were just like kind of translating things you learn in every programming language. So because I had already learned block code, it was a little more complicated, but I definitely got through it pretty fast because like I already known a language. So that stuff was more like, this is what it would look like in Python. And then this got me to unit 4, conditionals, else if statements, stuff like that. Looping, so it just keeps going. Functions and exceptions. Exceptions is more like if there's a bug in your code, then like the code itself can detect it and then tell you and then fix it itself. I couldn't find a need to do that in my app, but I definitely learned a lot about it, and I'm glad that I did because in other applications, it's definitely something you want to use if you're making like a large scale app. Booleans, which just means like true or false stuff. So with rock, paper, scissors, that's a big one that you need to use. And user input, so just like the user interacting with the game. So in the future, the main reason why I want to do this is because in my computer science, like minor required classes, the first class you have to take is taught fully in Python. And I was freaking out because a lot of people you'll see like when they go to college, like their school goes much farther than like where our school does, even though we do a lot with computer science. But even with my schedule, I couldn't get as far as other people. So if I wanted to do anything like knowing anything about Python, I'd have to do it myself. And I thought like this capstone or like this month would be a really good opportunity to at least learn like the fundamentals. So I'm hoping that, especially after I finish the last couple units, this will provide me an advantage in that first class and even classes after that because all programming languages relate to each other. And my immediate future plans. So I have to finish my pilot's license, but that's my VFR. So that basically just means right now I have a student's pilot's license, which means I can only fly if like the weather's basically perfect. But if it's like raining or if it's like really bad weather, like super windy, really anything like that, I can't fly unless I have my instructor in the plane with me. So that's what I'm planning to do this summer, and I have to take my oral exam. So in my written exam, I got an 89%, which means the 11% of questions that I missed will be on the oral exam plus more, because, you know, I'm actually flying a plane in bad weather conditions sometimes. So if I want to prepare for that, it's a whole different thing. I plan to get that this summer. Don't worry, I won't kill you. And I'm attending Fordham University to pursue business and minor in comp sci and minor in psychology. I'd say like this whole like Python experience definitely like solidified the fact that I want computer science in my career. Any questions? Callie?
Do you know why it's called Python?
No, actually. Good question though. Eric.
Is there a certain language you like more?
Well, I just started Java, like a little bit of it, but it's really confusing so far. I'd say Python is a lot like pseudocode. So pseudocode's basically like when you write out like everything you want to happen, and then in Python you just kind of like change it a little bit so like the computer understands it. So it's definitely like a really good beginner programming language. Like if you want to start somewhere, I wouldn't even say block code, I would say Python. Callie.
How does computer science relate to flying planes?
It doesn't, but you know, I thought everyone would want to know that I'm gonna fly a plane this summer, you know?
I'm just curious.
I thought it would be cool to tell you guys.
It's a great fun fact. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm curious. So you're planning on going into business, and like, do you have an idea of what type of like business track you want to go, and how do you feel like business and computer science kind of gel together?
So Fordham doesn't have this specific program, but I was looking into like maybe doing like an outside program with like business intelligence and data analytics, because that's like a really good field to mix computer science and business. And if I don't do that, I definitely want to do something with like artificial intelligence, but with like a business background, I could definitely get like the upper hand versus like other people in computer science who are majoring in it, because I feel like, I don't know if everybody knows this, but like because I've done my research, like a lot of people like now, like computer science is really popular. So if you're majoring in computer science, you have a lot of competition. So I just figured that if I minored in it instead and majored in business, I would definitely have like a different type of experience and something else to bring to the table.
When you were like programming your app part, is there a way that you have to add for like the random, like to randomize it? I noticed when you played your video, you either tied or lost every time.
Yeah. I figured I should just not keep going, but.
So, is there a way, like, in the program that you set, like, the win-loss percentage, or, like, how does is it random, or did you have to program, like, if it says, if I put in rock, then it will say this?
So that's called a mathematical operator. That I learn in the unit I'm actually trying to finish right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually was thinking about that as I was doing the video. I was like, I wish there was a way to just like know that I'm gonna at least win once, at least lose once, at least tie once. I know how to do it in block code, but in Python, I searched it up and it's not nearly the same thing apparently.
The program is the one that like comes up with the outcome. So like when you
Yeah,
put
pretty
in
much.
scissors, like you had no idea what the program was gonna come back with.
Yeah, I coded that it would have to choose something random, but I don't
okay.
choose like what
Which one it
yeah,
is.
because then I would just take out my random function and just put in whatever I wanted instead.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Fascinating. Yeah. Nice job.
Great job.
Thank you.
Emma, you're our last one. Round us out.
Let's go, girl.
Hi guys. So I did a capstone on the careers in music business. Hi, my name is Emma Messino. I will be attending Middle Tennessee State University for a music business degree in the fall. Part of the reason I'm doing a capstone is because an internship was extremely difficult to find, which is why I'm going to Tennessee, because there's nothing with music business here. So I had to find something else, and I just did my own thing. So I picked 10 different careers that I could see myself doing and making a life of with a music business degree, which is what I'm going to college for. So I could be a music manager, an entertainment attorney, a talent scout, music executive, a concert photographer, a recording engineer, a tour manager, artist merchandiser, a music producer, or a session musician. So these were kind of the most out-of-the-box things that I could find, and I did research on all of them. Okay, so the first one I did was a music manager, and this is probably what I would see myself doing in the future. I really, really like this. So a music manager is an artist's right-hand person. They work with artists to help them create successful careers. It involves collaborating, obviously, with the artist, since that's who they're working for, and other professionals to help grow their audience, ensure payments and shows occur in like a timely and organized fashion. They also advocate for mental, emotional, and physical well-being of the artist, and they help them build goals and career plans and where they want to see them go. So the average salary for this was $76,000 to $108,000. That was like the average per year. You're going to need a bachelor's degree in music media or entertainment. And then a famous person that I'm sure we all have heard of because of Taylor Swift is Scooter Braun. So I have a picture with them. He actually does still currently manage Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, Demi Lovato, and the kid Leroy. It's kind of impressive since the whole thing with Taylor Swift, but we're just going to move on. Then I found an entertainment attorney, and they are super popular. They have to have law degrees, and they make a lot of money. They represent their clients in court, and it could be single musicians, bands or groups, or recording labels as a whole. They focus on issues such as copyright, trademark disputes, and recording contract signings. In order to be an entertainment attorney, you have to have a law degree as well as a music, business, or industry degree. The average salary is $77,000 to $186,000. You need a degree in law or music business. And this was Ed Sheeran's lawyer who ended up winning the recent case of his song Thinking Out Loud. Then there's a talent scout, which I also thought was really cool. And they kind of go like undercover and attend small open mic nights or concert or venue halls to find kind of newer, unknown, skilled artists. Their job is to assess the talent, so literally just sit there and listen to you. And then they go and talk to record deals and see if they're going to sign you, or sometimes they'll go with music executives, which I'll talk about in a minute. And they're like looking for like a specific niche of a person or a voice so that they'll connect them with them. They only make about $31,000 to $88,000. They need a bachelor's degree in music business, communications, or management. And then I couldn't really find any people that really want to go undercover. So these are like big companies that I heard of. I think one of them is in Los Angeles. I think the CEA, Creative Artists Agency, and the William Morris Endeavor, which is where they send a lot of people from. Okay, music executive. A music executive is a very big people person. They work with the artist, their manager, their producer, and literally everybody else in between. They work to put out songs the best time, meaning when they can make the most money based off of what's happening in the world. They're in constant communication with talent scouts to bring out more people and artists. They also work with the artist merchandiser. They're really just the big overflow person that kind of sees everything that happens for the artist. They do a lot of stuff for social media as well. They definitely have to be a people person to be able to do this job. They make $46,000 to $100,000. They need a bachelor's degree in music business or a degree in music management. And this guy is from London, but he was the biggest music executive that I could find, Ushian Grianje, and he's the most powerful music executive, and he is the CEO of Universal Music Group. Then a concert photographer is assigned to a concert venue or a specific artist, and they're able to be on the floor and kind of get up and close and personal with the artist and take any pictures or action shots of the performance. Any photos that you kind of see posted on Instagram or Facebook by an artist are most likely going to be taken by a concert photographer. Their average salary is $34,000 to $67,000 a year. You definitely are going to need some sort of arts or photography degree or a business or marketing degree. And Jim Marshall was the guy who got that iconic picture he captured of Johnny Cash. Next, a recording engineer is a person who works with the artists in the studios, capturing all the sounds that they make in the recording studios and putting them all together, making sure that they sound correct, they kind of all fit and flow together, sound good to the human ear, and then they have the artist kind of listen back to it and they can add anything, take anything away, distort, stuff like that. You definitely need to have a lot of experience to be any sort of good in this career, and they definitely have to be good at multitasking and keeping things organized. They make $54,000 to $125,000 a year, and they need, obviously, a degree in audio engineering. This is a British guy, Eddie Kramer, and he mixed songs for Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Kiss. He's got a lot of experience. He seems pretty old, so. As the tour manager, he handles every aspect of an artist's tour, from booking the tours, the venues, the transportation, the ticket prices, and any collaborations that may occur within the tour. They also handle the logistics and creating safety plans to make sure that the artist is going to be safe, and all of the security guards and everything. A tour manager has many responsibilities to make sure that the tour goes as smooth as possible. They make about $36,000 to $89,000. They definitely are going to need one or both of these degrees because there's a lot of music industry as well as music business and music management. This is Alex Prince, and he is a tour manager for Tyler, the Creator, Olivia Rodrigo, and Baby Keem. Then we go to an artist merchandiser who works directly with the artist to match the theme of their album and the message they want to put out. And put it out onto social media and to be sold in concert venues or tours. They can be sold online, and they provide the artist like the picture they want to see for the album. They have to understand market trends and keep track of the artist's like stats and how they're doing with profits and everything. Their average salary is $27,000, $56,000 a year, and they need degrees in music business or music management. Probably just business would do as well. You don't need a ton of music knowledge for this. The most famous merchandiser company that people use is Universal Music Group. They're really good about mass producing and making sure they have everything. Next is a music producer. They do all of the creating alongside of the artist and working hand in hand with the recording engineer. They attend the recording sessions, create positive environments for the artists to be able to be themselves. They can even help the client create a backing track or mix and edit tracks, add little things into the song that the artist might not have even thought of, and just kind of slip them in there and see what they think of it. They definitely get paid the big bucks if they know what they're doing and they're really good at it. They can make $46,000 to over $1 million a year. Degrees, they definitely need something in music business or music management. And the first female producer to go #1 on her debut working with Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj was Malibu Barbie. Session musician. A session musician, they're also called backup performers. These are a lot of kids that are really fresh out of college that know like their craft really well. They came out with like a performance degree, but they go to these venue halls and they could just say, hey, we need an extra drummer for tonight. You got like a percussion degree, you can drum for us tonight. They do stuff like that. If an artist takes a liking to a certain musician, they can request that the person be taken on tour with them, which is how Sheryl Crow started for Michael Jackson, which is like super cool. I couldn't really find a famous person because session musicians are like really young. Their average salary is $20,000 to $54,000 a year, and they're either going to need a really strong degree in like a music or voice or instrument, and then a music performance degree. And that's Sheryl Crow and Michael Jackson, obviously. I don't know why I put that there, but it's an inspirational quote. These are my sources.
Right.
Any questions? Yes, Kelly.
When you start your career, would you consider using a stage name, or would you just go by Emma Vecino?
I'm really liking Emma Vac, actually. I think that's
It's
a pretty good one. Yes, Miss Sylvia.
So obviously your internship or capstone was very research based.
Yeah.
But can you, during your time that we were officially on the internship time frame, you actually traveled to Tennessee.
Yes,
So you were there
I did.
to see your school, but you also got an opportunity to talk to a lot of people
Yeah.
and do some of like the background research and figure out which people that you wanted to focus in on for
Yeah.
this project. So
Yeah.
could you just like walk us through what that time felt like, or like reactions and how you spent your
So when we went down to Tennessee, I got to meet, obviously, a ton of people from the school that I'm going to be going to. There wasn't a ton of time because we did have to catch the flight back. It was like 36 hours there. But I did get to talk to somebody, one of the students who wanted to be a music media manager, and she was super, super cool. I literally talked to her for like a whole 5 minutes during lunch. She was really nice about it. It was a good conversation, very meaningful conversation. And she was like super excited. She went down to Tennessee. She's from Louisiana, And she went down to Tennessee because she knew that's what she wanted to do. She said something else. There was a story she told me.
In the 5 minutes?
Probably.
Sorry.
There was another guy that I met though, and he wanted to be a recording engineer, and he said that like this was one of the better schools for that. They had all the technology that they could use there. And he was also super excited. He was learning how to use the technology, and I think he was a junior, so he had been practicing with it for quite a while. And he had someone on Music Row took him for like an internship, and he was like learning how like it sounds different when you're in the studio and outside of the studio. And he was talking about like the differences and how you can mix things in and out of the studio. Very quick trip. Those were about the only people I talked to about the careers, and they were just kind of student perspectives, but it was nice to kind of hear more about them.
It sounds like you picked the right spot to be
Yes.
in, right? So
Yeah.
you're going to be surrounded by people with like that like-mindedness, and those
Yeah.
experiences are going to be available to you. So I think that trip obviously was like all around a good portion
Very
of
crazy.
this experience
Yeah.
too. So
Yep.
it's great.
Yes.
Why did you choose to go into a career path that focuses on management rather than performance?
I do not like being on stage, actually. I get huge stage fright. I really don't like it. But yeah. But I'm extremely organized. I always have to-do lists, and I know exactly what I need to be doing when it needs to be done. So I thought this would work for more of my strengths. Hold on, Eric.
If there were a certain like genre
Uh-huh.
that you would like to manage,
Yep.
what would you think?
Really love country. They do a lot of that in Tennessee, so country. Yes, Joe.
I was just curious, because you have a lot of talent,
Uh-huh.
and is there, and I know you said the first one is what you like are gravitating towards.
Yeah.
But are you going to try and use your talent and the skills that you have towards one of your music business degrees, like, and the avenue that you're going to pursue?
I think with the credits that I'm getting, I could take, if I took an extra year or even like an extra semester, I could get with a music performance and a music business degree. We'll see. We'll see.
Any other questions for Emma?
That's my only question. When we started talking about you like compiling this as part of your internship,
Yeah.
did any of those 10 were you unaware of or like really
Yes.
unfamiliar with that it kind of opened
Yeah.
up your which one?
The artist merchandiser, I had no idea that was even like a thing. I didn't even think about it. Hold on. There was another one too that I was like, whoa. Oh, the session musician. I thought that was the coolest thing. I would like love to do that, but I wouldn't really want to go on stage a ton. But I thought that would be like super, super cool. And just like get the opportunity to perform with like a random artist every night of the week would be so awesome. Yes.
Related to the session musician, I
Uh-huh.
like to go back to that.
Okay.
Simply because, did you, in your research, did you find anything about session musicians that are on recording so that you're not actually on stage, but you're still getting to utilize that part of
That
your...
is definitely a thing, and they were promoting that they do internships when I went down to Tennessee super often with a nearby venue, and they had recording, they had media managers, like people that would do the tours and the venue stuff, and then they had recording, and then people that would perform on stage as well.
Because now that we're talking about this, Angela Clemens, who was the one who came in for Dizzy Fish, she does that all the time and has been on like Walmart commercials and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
cool.
so she might be somebody that you can connect with too before you head down to
That is
Tennessee
very
to get
cool.
more information about
Yeah.
that.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Callie.
Why does your country accent turn on and off?
It just goes. I had it. Thanks y'all for watching, but it didn't really roll like the thanks for watching. So, yes, Eric.
She doesn't want to be on stage.
Yeah. I don't know.
When are you gonna manage someone go on tour?
Yeah, I feel like I could definitely do that. But,
Yeah, come on.
Oh, 2027
There you go.
graduation.
I'll hold you to that.
Now we have this recorded for the documentary.
Great. Can't wait. All right. Thanks, guys.
Emma.